Hey all, we got another speaker. Her name is Ameera. Ameera, are you ready, girl?
Yes, I am.
All right, so y'all about to hear from Ameera about taking up space and finding your voice. Take it away, Ameera.
Good morning. My name is Ameera Stewart. I'm a freelance journalist, and like Nina said, I will be talking to you guys about taking up space and using your voice and learning how to do that. And the best way I can tell you is through my story. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by telling you my story. So it all started when I was young. I always was, like a good girl, the rule follower, did everything right. And, over the years, I've noticed like that we always, Black women especially, seem to have a hard time finding our voice in society, only because, we're Black and we're women. And so when men are involved, especially white men, it gets a little hard. I don't want to say hard to speak up, but you get lost in the sauce basically. You know, I've had a hard time, like I said, and when I was growing up, I just followed the rules. I allowed people to do them, but I wasn't giving myself space to do me, if that makes sense. So I just let people kind of just go ahead and do what they were going to do, and I wasn't almost respecting myself, if that makes sense. So um, I just went on with life thinking I was doing everything right. And then in college, after I changed my major to journalism, I didn't have my first Black professor until my senior year. And when I got her, she changed my life. So basically, she taught an advocacy journalism class. And of course, I didn't know what that was. So I'll explain to you guys what that was. That is when you can be an advocate for something. And in journalism, they teach you not to be biased and, to not necessarily have an opinion on anything, to just, like I said, be unbiased. And so she told us we had to stand up for something in that class. That was our work. We had to choose something to stand up for, and we had to, write stories on it. So through that, she helped me find my voice as a journalist. I noticed that, I wanted to tell more Black stories. And being that I went to a university focused on football, um, it was hard to find my footing at school with fashion. So I realized that I wanted to, make space and take up space and give space to young Black girls like me who feel like they didn't have a space or a place to, work in fashion or even tell fashion stories. And I just, at that time, it was like big for cultural appropriation. So, that's where I found my voice as a journalist. I wanted to speak on cultural appropriation and how it affects the Black community and me as a Black woman. But during that class, one day she pulled me to the side and, well, not really, she called me to her office. So you can imagine how that felt. And she told me, you can, you know, answer questions. And I was like, huh? And she's like, you just seem a bit timid in class and I don't feel like you're really speaking up. And that shocked me because I felt like I was. And she was like, I can tell you're afraid to be wrong. And then she used one of my classmates as an example. She said, you see her, she's not afraid to be wrong. And this was a white girl that she was speaking about. She was saying, my professor was saying, excuse me, she said, I'm the teacher and she'll argue me down, to prove her point. And she was just letting me know, like, you have the same right. You have that right to take up space. You have that right to be who you are. And so within that talk, I noticed that I was holding back a lot. I was afraid to feed into stereotypes. So, I'm a girl that likes my long nails. I don't have them now, but I like long acrylic nails. And I was afraid to like do my crazy colors like I wanted to because I felt like it would feed into a certain image that I didn't want people to think of me. I was afraid to, I wasn't afraid to be loud, but I didn't try to be loud. I didn't want to be too loud in public because I didn't want to be known as the loud Black girl. So I always kind of was timid, and I guess I held myself back because I was afraid of feeding into stereotypes. And I had to realize, the only problem with stereotypes is the person who made those up, you know? Just because you may look like a girl who, I don't know, is loud doesn't mean you're always loud. You might have just a loud moment, or you might be really excited, but that doesn't mean you're quote unquote the loud black girl. You know what I mean? And so she just opened my eyes to myself, if that makes sense. And so after that, I saw myself ready. I felt ready for the world. I was wearing my nails again, bright colors. I was, being completely myself. I was allowing myself to be myself, if that makes sense. And I was finding my voice as a journalist, and I was, telling the stories that I wanted to tell, at least in that class, and even working for the newspaper at school. But with the real world comes real problems. And just because you think you know doesn't mean you know. So when I graduated, I was able to get a job a few months out after graduating. And that really showed me how bad, I guess, it was when it came to for me taking up space and using my voice. My boss was a pretty hard boss. He pushed me. The job was pretty hard because it pushed me, and I wasn't used to that workload. So I had to get used to the workload. I had to get used to working with other people, working with a real editor, um, which and working with the newspaper who had its own voice already before I came in. So within that, I noticed that I kind of lost my voice as a journalist because, for one, I wasn't talking about fashion anymore. I was talking about news, hard news. And then for two, like I said, the newspaper already had its own voice. So within journalism, the editor is going to um, basically give the story the voice of the paper. And that kind of hurt me in a way, only because I took it to heart and I wasn't separating the two. I wasn't separating me as a journalist from me as a journalist working for this newspaper. And so I lost my voice again. And then, with working with people, you have to teach them how to work with you. Just like with any relationship, you have to teach people how to love you. You have to teach people how to talk to you, how to respect you. And I had to do that with my boss. And, it scared me when I finally had to have the conversation about how I felt about like his tone sometimes and how he would speak to me. And but I did it. I sat down with him, sweaty palms, nervous, voice shaking, and I did it. And that helped me, I guess, take a step forward into finding my voice again. If you notice in life always takes you on a journey until you find, you figure out that lesson and you change your ways. And so I was basically going through the same motions, just outside of college and in my career job. So with that being said, I finally decided to quit my job not too long ago and do freelancing. Well, that was a different story. With freelancing, I had to learn. Well, before I go to freelancing, I'm sorry, I want to go back because I also had to find my voice during my job as a journalist, and not meaning finding my voice with the stories I wanted to tell, but I had to basically be a boss with a boss. I had a boss, but in those interviews and in those photo shoots, I was technically the boss. I had to let people know what I wanted, how I wanted them to move, what I needed them to do. And I found that hard, if that makes sense. I found that really hard to do because, I was just a really good, like, again, sweetheart. I was a people pleaser, and I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And eventually I noticed that not speaking up during those times gave me more work to do later. Within my job, I am also a photographer. And so there would be times when people would come and, their hair might be a little messy, or they might have, I don't know, makeup here that needs to be blended in or something like that. And, or lint, a lot of lint on their shirt. And I would be afraid to say something. And I didn't want to, I guess, offend anyone. Um I didn't want it getting back to my boss that I offended someone. And I had to realize that for you to be the best journalist, you have to speak up and let these people know, hey, this hair is out of place, or let me fix this. Because if I didn't, then I'm not getting the product that I want for my job. I'm not doing my best, if that makes sense. And so when I decided to freelance, all those lessons kind of just came falling down on me, if that makes sense, because now I was responsible for myself fully. I didn't have an editor. I did when, writing stories for someone, but with my blog, I don't have an editor. I had to give myself assignments because nobody's going to give it to you. So you have to constantly email people, you have to constantly um, build relationships with people within the industry. And it was hard. It's been hard. It still is hard. I'm still learning, but I did learn that, I really just had to take up space. I had to walk into those rooms like I belong there. I get bad imposter syndrome. I probably have a little bit of it now with this talk, but what I've learned is that when God puts you in a space, you're there for a reason. So take up as much of that space as you can, because you're there just like anybody else is supposed to be there. So I had to learn that. I had to come in with that boss energy. I had to come in with that energy like, I know what I'm worth. I know what my stories are worth. I know what my photographs are worth. I know the work that I can do, and I had to sell myself. And with selling myself, and I'm not saying like sell my soul, but I'm saying, let people know what comes with working with me. And so with that, I had to learn, basically, I had to learn how I work to let people know how I work. I had to learn what I come with to let people know that. And I had to learn how to speak up and really give myself my props. That comes with finding your voice too, is giving yourself the props that you deserve, letting people know I'm no joke. I'm here for a reason. You're talking to me for a reason. So let me just be honest with you and let you know, like, I'm that girl. And so with that being said, I noticed that taking up space and finding your voice all comes with finding yourself, finding your confidence, and giving yourself grace. With being a freelancer this year and 2020 and the pandemic and all this stuff that was happening, we all know what was happening. Um, I had to basically do a lot of inner work, and it wasn't a choice. It kind of just slapped me in the face. It came with the territory of being my own boss. And I learned that I wasn't being honest with myself or with other people. I was being honest as possible, but when you aren't taking up the space that God gives you, when you aren't being yourself, when you aren't allowing yourself grace to be yourself and letting yourself be, you kind of tend to tell little white lies because you're not being honest with yourself. So with finding my voice, I had to start being honest with myself about how I feel, what I wanted to say, who I wanted to say it to and for. And once I was honest with myself, I was able to be honest with other people and let people know when something is bothering me, or when I feel disrespected, or when I feel my work is disrespected. Um, I just had to like let it out. I was holding in so much and it was affecting me. I was timid. I was quiet. I was mousy, like, I was just there. but I wasn't there. Like, people didn't notice me, and I needed people to notice me. And you have to have people to notice you so that you can make it in the industry, whatever industry that is that you want to make it in. People have to know who you are. And how are people going to know who you are if you're not walking with your head held high, your chest out, and you're not speaking? Like, you have to speak. People have to know your voice. People have to hear you to know what you need to talk about, what you want to talk about, and if they want to work with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you have to allow yourself the space to be human. And with being human comes taking up space. No matter how little space you want to take up. I always think about it this way: me, my body, that takes up space. And then there's my energy that takes up space, and my aura that takes up space, my hair that takes up space. So I look at it from a physical standpoint now. Like, I take up space no matter what. I take up space, if that makes sense. Like, I'm a human. I have a body. I'm going to take up space whether I want to or not. So why not take up the space God gave me, be in those rooms God gave me, and use my voice to tell the stories that I want to tell, you know? Um, if I felt like in college and when I was younger, if I didn't feel seen, if I felt like I was being looked over and my work wasn't deemed important enough because I went to a sports school, then why would I allow other people and other women to come behind me and feel the same way? When I know how it feels, when I know I didn't like it, and when I know I can do something to change it, you know? So, it starts with looking at yourself, talking to yourself, and just realizing I have to speak, you know. I have to say something. I have to, and eventually, you know, your heart's going to push you, if that makes sense. It's going to hurt not to speak up, especially when you're passionate. And I'm a passionate person. If you're an Aries out there, you know what that comes with. I'm a passionate person. It's hard for me not to speak up. So when I wasn't speaking up, you can imagine the toll it was taking on me and how I was feeling and treating myself. And speaking of treating myself, self-care. You know, people talk about self-care all the time, but honestly, it took self-care for me to realize what I was doing to myself and how I was treating myself. And once again, going back to being physical, once I started looking at it from a physical standpoint first, if I wasn't feeling good, I wasn't going to be good to myself. So if I don't give myself, like, for instance, if I don't wake up and at least give myself time to, like, drink a little coffee, I'm not going to be my best me, which means I may fall back into old patterns, as in not speaking up or not using my voice. And then I'm back to square one. Well, who wants to be back to square one when you did the shadow work and you did the work in general, you know? Who wants to go back? And of course, life is going to take you back, but you don't want to take you back, if that makes sense. You don't want to be the reason you have to go back and look at yourself again and again and again. Um, so I had to take care of myself. I had to give myself space to first be human. You know, self-care, you can do all the things in the world, but if you're not literally taking care of self, and you're just going getting manicures and pedicures and doing the physical thing, it's not going to work like you think it is. You literally have to look at yourself and say, what do I have a problem with? What are my issues here? And how can I fix that? How can I be the one to change what I'm looking at and how I'm feeling, you know? And going back to college, my professor taught me that. I didn't realize why I was so uncomfortable, but I was only uncomfortable because I wasn't speaking up. First, I didn't know I could be an advocate as a journalist, so I didn't know what I wanted to talk about until she came along. But then I had all this stuff to say, and I wasn't speaking up when she gave me the chance. If she would call on me in class, I said the bare minimum. And I just got tired of being that girl who always did things the right way, always did things the way to make other people comfortable when I was uncomfortable. And when I'm honest with myself, that means I'm letting myself know when I'm happy and when I'm unhappy, when I'm comfortable and when I'm uncomfortable. So if I'm going to let myself know that, I got to let you know that, so that you can learn how to deal with me, because I'm learning how to deal with me. And if I'm learning how to deal with me and I'm taking this time with myself, and you want a relationship with me, whether that be professional, platonic, or romantic, you have to learn how to deal with me. You have to learn how to talk to me and treat me. And the only way you're going to learn that is if I speak up. The only way you're going to know that is if I take up that space that God has given me and show you who I am, how I am, and what I need. Um, so yeah, it takes time. It definitely takes a lot of time. I've definitely gone back and forth, and I just had to learn how to respect my mind, body, and spirit. And not speaking up wasn't sitting right with my spirit. Trying to not feed into stereotypes wasn't sitting right with my spirit, because the fact of the matter is, I am a Black woman. Okay. I'm a Black woman. I'm a journalist. I like flashy stuff. My family is flashy. So I come, I like jewelry. I like what I like, whether I'm white or Black, whether I'm Hispanic, or it doesn't matter. I'm al- I'm always going to be who I am, and I'm always going to like what I like. So why hold myself back because of my skin color? Then I'm feeding into your views, and I'm not allowing myself to see myself as I am. I'm not giving myself space. I'm not giving myself grace, and I'm not loving myself because I'm scared about how you're going to see me. And that's not fair to me, because I know how I see me. I know how God sees me, and I know the image that I want to give. So it's just, again, having those conversations with yourself, really looking at yourself, looking at your work, and learning what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it. Excuse me. When you want to do it, and letting people know, like, okay, I'm think about it this way. Everybody knows Beyonce, we love Beyonce, most of us. And if you don't, I might not trust you. But I have a tendency to like go back and watch her documentaries, because if Beyonce doesn't like it, Beyonce's not going to do it. It doesn't matter. Um, well, it matters when the show is, but you know, if it needs to be changed and we have a deadline, then it needs to be changed. And I have to have that same attitude if I want to make it to where I want to make it to. And if I want to have the work that I want to have, and if I want to make the impact that I want to make, I have to be able to speak up for my work. Nobody's going to know what stories you want to tell. Nobody's not going to know what faces you want to put out there, or what images you want to put out there, unless you tell them. She has that team full of people. But if she was going to let their feelings get in the way of her feelings and her work, she wouldn't be who she is today at all. Like, because part of being Beyonce is being a boss. And you literally have to boss up and be the boss of your life, and let people know what you want, when you want it, and how you need it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be a butthole about it. You don't have to be mean about it, but you have to be honest. And when you're honest, people can't help but to respect that honesty. Now, I'm not saying be blunt and say your hair is giving me all the wrong energy and I don't want to be around you right now. I'm not saying do that and hurt people's feelings. I'm saying respect yourself, respect others, and by doing that, by respecting yourself, you're able to let people know what you need. You're able to let people know, you're able to articulate your vision, which means that you're able to let God speak through you, because who else is that vision coming from? Because sometimes I have ideas that I don't even know where they came from, and there's only one explanation about where they came from. And so in a way, I was disrespecting God, you know? I was disrespecting God because God obviously put me here for a reason. I'm trying to find that reason, but the only way I can find that reason is by, allowing myself to speak up about what I need in the moment and allowing myself to mess up, giving myself grace because you're gonna make mistakes, you know what I mean? Like, and that comes with the territory. But if you're scared to make mistakes, then you're scared to speak up and you're scared to be a boss. And I'm honestly at the point in my life, at least, where I'm ready to be a boss. I'm ready to take up space. I'm ready to let people see my vision, let people hear my vision, and see the stories that I want to tell. I've already had the chance to use those platforms that God has given me, you know, the newspaper or any magazine I've written for or my blog. I've given God has given me those platforms. Why not use it? If I can be honest on paper, I can be honest with my mouth, because it's not that separate. It's coming from the same place. My mind and God. It's coming from the same place. So why not voice it? You know? Why not speak it? Why not let other people hear you say it? Because, sometimes people don't believe until you say it. People don't believe until they see it. And if that's the case, they're not going to believe in you until you believe in you. They're not going to believe in your voice, your vision until you do. And the only way you can get there is speaking up and letting people know what you want, what you have, what you need, and what you're trying to put across. They're not going to believe in your vision if you don't. They're not obligated to. And I had to realize, how can I want other people to believe in me and support me when I don't support myself? I don't believe in myself. And to be honest, I only started believing in myself when I started to voice what I wanted, what I wanted to see in the world, how I felt in this world. One thing about being a Black woman is that you're gonna deal with hardships. It's inevitable because the world doesn't deem you as valuable as you deem yourself ever. No matter how much they say they do, they don't. And you can see that in the way society moves. So if you want to feed into that, then feed into that. But why would you feed into that? Why would you feed into that when you know your worth? It all comes with knowing your worth. If you know your worth, why would you feed into somebody else's image of you? Why would you let a man talk down to you? Why would you let anybody talk down to you? And I'm not saying, like, sometimes, of course, it's hard, especially when we love people in our lives, to let them know how we feel. But if you, like, again, and I keep saying this because it's the prime point, if you don't let other people know how you feel, they won't know how you feel. Keeping that in, you're only going to trust yourself because you're the only person able to give you what you need. But if I learned anything during 2020 is that you need help. You need people. You need your soul family. You need your family. So, and even your family, like, they know you, but they don't know you. There are thoughts I have that I've never told my family about. And how are they going to know what you need sometimes if you don't speak up about it, if you don't let them know? So, again, as a Black woman, I have to take up space. I have to give myself that space, that grace. I have to use my voice because if I don't, who will? Who's going to talk for me? And it's not even my best example is school. Who's going to who better to say, "Oh, you guys don't have this enough," or "You only talk about sports," if you don't say it. You're the only person that knows how it feels to not have those classes. You're the only person that knows how it feels to not have that space. So why not speak up about it? So the next person won't feel that way. And so you won't feel bad about not speaking up. Once you speak up, it's going to feel so good. And somebody said something about setting boundaries. Yes, that is the whole point. Set those boundaries. Because again, nobody's going to know unless you set them, you know, and they may get angry. They may feel some type of way, but how do you feel? I set a boundary the other day and somebody got mad, but Ameera was happy. Ameera was proud of herself for speaking up for herself, because if you don't set your boundaries, who will? Nobody knows you like you do. Nobody cares for you like you do. Nobody loves you like you do. You may think they love you, but they don't. Not like you will, not like you do. Because you see yourself every day. You deal with yourself every day. You know how dope you are. You know the images that come to your head, the visions. You know, like they're not going to know unless you show them, which goes back to taking up space. They're not going to know unless you show them. So you have to walk in there like, yeah, I'm it. I'm that girl. I'm that boss. I'm my boss. And you're going to respect me as such, because I know the work that I can do. I know what I offer this world. I know who I am. And so the best advice I can give anybody who's trying to take space or find their voice is find out who you are, you know? Of course we change. I change every day. But what I've noticed is that there are some integral parts about me that don't change. There are some parts about me that don't move. And there are even parts that do move, but you're not going to know what's moving and what's not moving until you know yourself. So just get to know yourself. Spend some time alone. Spend some time with yourself. Um, write down where you can be better. You know, part of using your voice is using your pen. Write it down. Write it down. It helps you speak better. I wrote stuff down today for this talk. Write it down. What did Erica Badu say? Write it down and watch stuff get real. Write it down until you can find your voice, until you can use your voice, until you feel it coming out of here. And this is my last point. One thing I had to notice was throughout every experience I had where I didn't use my voice, I had that same feeling, that same knot, that same uncomfortable feeling. And I didn't want to feel that way. I didn't want to feel that way. I wanted to stop. And even today, you know, I still have those moments where I don't use my voice when I should, or use it a little too much and hurt somebody's feelings, but it's balance. And that is the one thing that I'm working on is balance. And it's a I'm sorry guys. It's an everyday battle finding balance, but you know, improving on your balance help you improve everywhere else, because you're able to know when you're going this way, know when you're going that way. And so finding yourself, giving yourself grace, um, and giving yourself space and finding that balance with who you are is the only way you can take up that space and use that voice. And like I said, when with that balance, that's the key right there, because you don't want to get so caught up in using your voice and trying to use your voice that you say the wrong thing. Not even say the wrong thing, but you don't say what you're trying to say. And of course, we have to meet people where they are. We have to give respect. We have to sugarcoat for some people. Some people like a little sugar with their tea. So just find that balance and know who you're speaking to, and know what you know how to do it. You just have to find that balance. Speak to people how you would speak to yourself. And sometimes that could be a little harsh. So sometimes you do have to sugarcoat it. But the only way to do it is to do it. The only way to learn is to do it. So in the words of Nike, just do it. Just speak up. Just take up that space. Just do it. And you won't regret it. Trust me. I am very happy right now. Don't regret it. You won't regret it. Um, yes, somebody said it's the worst feeling when you think you should have responded or spoke up for yourself. But that's where the grace comes in. That's where loving yourself comes in, because you're like, okay, I'm human. I didn't say it this time, but if it happens again, I'm going to say it. Just give yourself the space to be human. Give yourself the space to learn how to speak up for yourself. Just like anybody else has to learn how to deal with you, you have to learn how to deal with you. You have to learn how to love you. And it's only going to start when you want it to start. If you're tired of feeling like you haven't said enough, or feeling like you should have spoken up, I hate to say this, but um, in college, when I first started doing it, I just had to let it all out. Sometimes I would regret it, but it's better to just let it out than to not and feel bad for it. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather feel good about speaking up than to feel bad about not saying something, you know? And the lessons come in due time. So eventually you'll learn how to say things. Eventually you'll learn how to speak to other people and how to tell them the truth. But it starts with you. Be honest with yourself, and you can be honest with other people, to be honest, because you're not going to hurt yourself. You know what I mean? You're not going to, you may be a little mean to yourself, but that comes with loving yourself. You're going to give yourself more grace and love with giving yourself the truth once you start to give yourself that love, and once you start to have that self-love. So I say start today and be honest. You can be honest in the comments. If you hated this talk, let me know. Speak up. Trust yourself. Trust your gut, and trust your intuition and your voice. Let your voice be heard. Somebody asked, what drives you to transform your experiences into something positive? Ooh. I think it goes back to not wanting to feel that way again. And not wanting other people to feel that way. So the only way to do that is to do something positive, helping other people not feel how you felt is doing something positive. And I'm a positive person, so it's kind of hard not to be positive. But when I do have those negative moments, I just have to be honest with myself and have those talks and talk with myself and teach myself, how to be positive again. Walk myself through it. And I am a crystal lover, so sometimes I use crystals to balance out my energy and give myself energy again, if that makes sense. So, sorry. Diversity is important, but what do you do to be more inclusive and encourage others to as well? So in the spirit of using my voice, I'm going to be honest. I don't move with the intent of being all inclusive, only because I want to have more spaces for Black people and Black women. So the spaces that I make, the spaces that I give, and the stories that I give are dedicated and written with Black people in mind, to be honest. But of course, I love everybody. I am a social butterfly. And I get along with everybody, all types of people. So if you feel called to read my stories, if you feel called to be a part of those spaces, you're welcome to be a part of those spaces. You are welcome to learn something new about Black people that you didn't know. That's part of my goal, is to teach people what Black people are doing now and what Black people did then, especially as it pertains to fashion. So, yeah. Innovation strategy you developed during COVID-19? It was more so internal work. So I guess the advice I've been giving is my innovation strategy is just learning how to love yourself, so that when it comes time for work, when it comes time to work, you know exactly what you want. You know exactly how you want to do it. Once you love yourself, once you respect yourself, once you give yourself grace, you know what you want. And so that is the best business advice I've given myself during quarantine and this year is loving myself and giving myself grace enough to be a boss and to be honest with the work that I do. Are there any more questions? What was your struggle in getting to where you are now? This. As a journalist, you have to have a voice. So how was I going to be a journalist if I didn't have a voice? And it's an everyday battle. I am still learning how to speak up. But this has been one of my biggest issues, is learning how to use my voice, and also learning how to allow myself to be myself. So, keep your eyes on me, because I just learned all these lessons that I'm teaching you guys, and I feel like things are changing soon. So keep your eyes on me to see how loving myself has gotten me in a better space, because I think that was one of my biggest problems, is allowing myself to be human, allowing myself to be me, and using my voice. So now that I've learned my lesson, I think things are going to be changing. What drives you to transform your experiences into something positive? Oh, I think I answered that question already. Were there any more questions that anyone else had? What is your pro tip to use when I doubt myself? Ooh, I doubt myself every day. But it's allowed me as a journalist to look at the flaws in my work and be better next time. So doubt can be a blessing and a curse, because I doubt some of my work, and it's allowed me to be better the next time. But just remember that, just remember who you are and your why. Oh my gosh, your why will put you in check every time. When you doubt yourself, when you doubt your vision, when you doubt God, I mean, we all have doubted God and the spaces He has put us in. When you doubt all that, remember your why. Remember that out of a million sperm, you were chosen. You made it to the egg. God chose you. So when you doubt, just remember, you're here. You're still here. Every time you wake up, there's a chance to do it all over again. There's a chance to change. There's a chance to do better. There's a chance to feed into your purpose. And God is giving you a chance. You know you're not done yet, basically. Every time you wake up, you know you're not done. So when that doubt comes around, just say, I'm still here. I'm still here. So I'm doubting myself now, but there is a reason I am here. So move through those emotions. Allow yourself to feel that. Allow yourself to feel negative. Allow yourself to doubt yourself and come out of it. Once you allow yourself to feel it, let it go. Just let it go and keep moving, because 9 times out of 10, you're doubting yourself in the middle of doing work. So keep moving. Just keep moving. Whether you doubt yourself or whether you feel like you're not doing what you need, just keep moving and finish it. Just finish it. What's yours that could change your industry completely? I'm not understanding the question.
So I think the question is more so about your $1 million idea.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that if your industry would just start implementing more of, it would really revolutionize the way that you guys really see and bring in information that they are not doing right now. They're not prioritizing. And if you would wish to kind of create that yourself, since they're not doing it.
Honestly, telling Black stories. I mean, I think it's picking up, but within the fashion industry, telling Black stories, because there are so many people behind the scenes that we don't know about. Shelby Ivy Christie does a good job of highlighting those Black stories, and I learned through her. And it's almost somebody new every day. So if she's finding new people every day, I just can't imagine how many people we have not been taught about. So yeah, telling those Black stories and those Black design stories, stylist stories, costume designer stories in the fashion industry, because I think they need to be told. And we need to know where that inspiration comes from. Do you have any job opportunities, remote internships, mentorship? Oh, I do not, but I'm still learning how to be a boss. So, but I'm open to being a mentor. So if you do feel like you need a mentor, you feel like you ever need to talk, you can email me. It's down here at the little rolling thing, but it's Ameera, Ameera, period, Steward, STEWARD as in dog, the number one, at gmail.com. Email me. You can follow me on Instagram, Ameera on the wall, and DM me. I get on Twitter, but Instagram is the best place, or email, so that we can have that conversation and just let me know what you need. How can we better protect and support Black owned businesses? First, by supporting Black owned businesses and giving them the same grace you give yourself, giving them the same grace you give Walmart. Walmart always messes up. Target always messes up. All these
Amen. Amen.
all these big corporations always mess up. And guess what we do? We always come back. So give them the same grace you give all these other people. That is my number one thing, because I have seen so many people write off Black owned businesses just because one mistake, and honestly offer some advice sometimes. I know some people can be a little standoffish when it comes to giving advice, but just say, especially if you're a business owner. As a business owner, I think it would help if you do this, or I think the way you handled this might have been, better if you would have did this. And start with your friends. Start with the people that you know, so that you can be honest and give that advice without them feeling some type of way. And yeah, just support. It's really not that hard. Just support. With this pandemic, I've learned that there are way more Black businesses than I thought. They are selling way more things, toothpaste, deodorant. Just support. Try it out. They get the money, you get to try it. If you don't like it, don't go back. And give them another chance. Give them grace. Do you have any offers connected to this event? No, I don't. But if you need a story told, you know where to find me. And I also have a blog, so it's ameeraonthewall.com. Those are where I put my personal work, my personal stories that maybe didn't get picked up, or basically that didn't get picked up, or that I just felt the need to tell personally. All those stories are there. It's still a work in progress, but it's happening and it's up. ameeraonthewall.com. Tell me more about you that I can't find on paper. Ooh, I'm pretty much an open book, but I haven't had that many interviews. So I guess I am a poet. That is where my love of writing came from, poetry and creative writing, but mainly poetry. I love to write poems. I can sing, but I'm not going to. I'm trying to think of what else. I think that's about it. I really am an open book, and I'm trying to think. Let's see. I still struggle with what I talked to you guys about today, for sure. I struggle every day. So, Instagram makes everything look like it's good, but trust me, freelancing is hard. Being an adult is hard. Being Ameera Stewart is hard. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any more questions? Who are you and what do you do in 3 words? I am 3 words. A journalist who tells Black stories. I think that's more than 3 words, but that's how you sum it up. Because I'm not necessarily in fashion right now, but I am telling Black stories, and I'm telling my stories and using my voice. Tell us about the reason for giving your lesson topic for today. People say, talk about what you know, do what you know. Use what you know. And this is the most recent lesson I've learned. This is the biggest lesson, one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Um, Especially when it comes to being honest with myself and letting myself be and be human. So I felt the need to share it because I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially Black women, because women struggle in general because men think they're the center of the earth. But and Black women struggle because we're a minority. So yeah, I just felt that, and as women, we lose ourselves, and we lose ourselves in our work, we lose ourselves in our men, we lose ourselves in our friendships, in our childhoods, and it comes with the territory because we're nurturers. But I think that this is a conversation that constantly needs to be had. A reminder, at least, at the very least. Are there any more questions? Motivational message you wish someone gave you. I really don't want to be cliche, but be yourself. It's not that hard to find it, to find yourself. Just allow yourself to be human. That's the advice. Allow yourself to be human. That's how you get to know yourself. Because once you allow yourself to be human, all those mistakes that you beat yourself up for, or that even other people have beaten you up for, that's caused you trauma, all that stuff is going to go out the window because you're giving yourself grace when you're allowing yourself to be human. You're allowing yourself to make mistakes. You're allowing yourself to have dreams. You are allowing yourself to be. Anything else?
No, Ameera, you said that perfectly. I think as much as you tried not to be good at this, you
Oh
talked
my gosh.
we talked naturally for 52 minutes. Not the full 55, but we'll get you there. Because there's probably even more parts and pockets of your story that you omitted because people are trying to learn more about you. And at the same time, you're trying to learn more about what drives the people listening. I think you
Right.
made profound points about boundaries. And I think you also made some profound points about taking back your power and understanding one, that you have it and you hold it and no one can take it from you unless you give it. And something you have to give willingly. It's not something that anybody has the power to take from you. As you said, even when your stories get rejected, you created an outlet for yourself to put up stories that will get untold otherwise. I love that piece. That was powerful because that's what this is. That's what this conference is all about. It's about the people who get untold. It's about the fact that there are probably amazing women that are in your area, in your industry that you would never know about because they never do Birmingham Bar Journal features on there. Always the big multi-million dollar companies, or the companies that have in the deep sea pockets that are able to make those lists. But the people like you guys, the people like the person that right, those
Right.
people that you want to see highlighted, those are the people you want to read about, and you just don't see it. And you know that they're successful, you know that it's time for them to have their opportunity to be able to connect to investors and things like that. But these big companies, they always pick the same people. And
Right.
I know that that is a frustrating thing as a business owner. So I just wanted to take this time to highlight people in my own personal network that this is beautiful, right? What watching you guys come to life, watching you guys take places in your life where you don't necessarily feel like you are the expert, and show not only are you the expert, but people will sit and listen to you. I think you had at least 2, 3 people who've been listening to you like the whole time through.
Thank you, guys.
I'm Samaya. Hey, girl. I appreciate you connecting me to your family a long time ago. She was actually responsible for Dear Future Lawyer, getting that Birmingham Times feature that the University of Alabama definitely shouted out, but they missed putting my picture in the Alabama Lawyer magazine. I felt some type of way about that. But I appreciated Ameera because she made
Of course.
something that I thought was never going to be told. And that's something that I just couldn't repay with money or time or enough thank you. So I wanted to have a time where she could just speak, with my audience and my, built base, because I just think that that's what she did for me. And that's all I know how to do for the people who have blessed me. So the people you guys are
Thank you.
all people that have blessed me in some way along my path. And I just wanted to be the person that could connect them to the same amount of blessings and more. All right. So I just
I feel
appreciate
you.
your, if there's anything you want to say, wrap up, any type of things you want people to know that you do, you can mention those now. Other than that, we're just going to do our final wrap up call on the Zoom link that was provided to you for this talk. It should be in your email. If not, I'll send it to you via, I guess, email again. So after this, so we'll just jump off of this, go on Zoom, do a wrap up call, and then you'll be done.
Okay. Can you email it to me? And
I will do it now.
I did want to say something about what you said. Of course, the fashion industry is hard to get into, but the journalism industry is hard to get into when you're not working for a publication. So you can imagine the toll it's taken on me as an individual to try to get into two industries that really don't want anything to do with anybody that they don't know, if that makes sense. And going back to what you said about the blog, thank you so much, because I've started that blog, deleted that blog, and started again. And I really hope it sticks this time, because I feel like, once again, that I know myself a bit more, and I'm not trying to feed into an image that anybody else has of me besides myself. So, and if anything, I hope this really helped anybody who is trying to find their fitting in the world, and who is trying to find their place and speak their truth, and give the world something it's never had before, or it's had but it hasn't had on your level, or from you, or with your perspective. So I hope I've helped someone today, and I appreciate you for giving me this opportunity to help anybody that needed it.
We appreciate you. Again, here's your flyer for the people who are listening. And this is the feedback you got so far. Oh, thanks, Amaya. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you guys. I mean, I just, who knew that I was going to know people who would be able to connect me to like a news article? I didn't know that when I was in, high school. I just like to talk to people and connect with people. So that was just something great. And so after you heard this great testimony about taking up space and finding your voice, next up is Danielle. Danielle's going to give us a power-packed information that really complements Ameera's talk very well. It's faith over fear, how to accept the inevitable and find your place in the legal field. So this can be something that applies to more than just the legal field. So if that's something that interests you and makes you excited, what is it? What does somebody say? Or anyone that can't benefit off of those industries don't like the truth. That's true. A lot of people don't like the truth. They don't like hearing about that. But yeah, so back to Danielle. I look forward to hearing her at 10:15. You guys, if you want to hear awesome stuff, you guys just continue to stay tuned into this conference for the rest of the day. I know y'all ain't got nothing better to do. Please listen to these women. They have so much information, and you could probably use a much more productive use of your Saturday than sitting at the house in your, big oversized t-shirt, drinking whatever you drinking and trying to, push out this pandemic by yourself. So let's push it out together with some
I
business.
feel like you coming from me, Nina.
I mean, that's what I be doing all the time. So I want to talk to y'all from a place of knowing, because as one of the people that I used to rely on for my PR, social media is going to become a place of relatability. It's not going to be about just our glitz anymore. It's all about relatability. So for the future, everything that you see that's going to be trending is because, I can relate to that. And so I literally be the oversized t-shirt, sitting on the couch, drinking, eating, snacking on something, but use this time productively. So thank you, Ameera. We're going to sign off and do
Thank you.
You should have your email from the Zoom link. Everybody say bye, Ameera. We love you.
Bye.